Buongiorno, buongiorno, buongiorno. Inter, mamma mia, Inter reminds me of my beloved AC Milan here. The resemblance is striking, in my opinion. What Inter is going through right now, um, in the locker room and everything, it sounds it sounds pretty bad, like my beloved AC Milan was this year. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you're Interista or not, but AC Milan had a horrible year, and we had a lot of like locker room problems, like in the cooling break, in the match versus Lazio, where like Theo and Leao went and did the cooling break alone, or Calabria fighting with Conceição, all that kind of stuff that happened publicly, and it was a mess. It was a mess. So what happened with Inter, and why do I say that Inter resembles AC Milan? Oh my God! Because Lautaro, after the match versus Fluminense, he said that only who wants to play, only if you want to stay at Inter, you stay at Inter. If you don't want to stay, get the fuck out. Okay, pretty much this is what he said. And after that, when they asked Kivu, Kivu, the first question in the conference room, the first question was, but who was Lautaro referring to when he said that who doesn't want to stay at Inter should get the fuck out? Then, then Marotta came to fix a little bit the situation, because Kivu just arrived. He doesn't even have that kind of authority, which I think is really important for a coach, and this is why I wanted Conte the previous year, because you need some coach. I'll talk about that later. Marotta said he was referring to Çalhanoğlu. And, I'm pretty sure that Inter supporters knew this already, that Çalhanoğlu wanted to leave Inter. But, locker room problems like these should stay in the locker room. These things, these kind of, statements, in my opinion, they're unacceptable for any team. I'm a supporter of AC Milan, so watching Inter doing this doesn't affect me. But I know that Inter fans are upset, and this puts a lot of risks for the next season too, because if the locker room is broken, you gotta do a hell of a job to fix it. Now we knew that Çalhanoğlu wanted to leave, but Lautaro's words might not only be referring to Çalhanoğlu, so it could be other players too. Who are these players? Rumors will start to come up, and articles and whatever, right? It's gonna be a mess for Inter, and this kind of media attention is something that you do not want, especially in summer when there is nothing to talk about. Like newspaper in summer, they will give you names, this and that, so they try to make the news somehow, and this is perfect bait. This is perfect for them, and this might affect also the market as well, because if somebody wants to buy any player from Inter, that it's not going that well inside, that Inter must sell some of these players because they are not gonna stay in Inter and they want to leave. They're gonna pay you less money for that. They're gonna use that to pay less money. So this is a problem that Inter now has also with the coach. You can say how many times you want that Kivu might be the best coach ever. The truth is that he's got no experience. Okay, what, 7 matches? How many matches did he do with Parma? I don't know, but he does not have an experience in coaching big teams. And this is super important. This is so important, because when you have to be a coach of Inter Milan or AC Milan, you have all these players that do not recognize your authority. For example, like Kivu. Kivu has an authority as a player, but not as a coach, So this kind of behavior happens because usually this kind of stuff must not happen anywhere. These things, you talk about it in the locker room, you try to solve it, and that's it. You don't let the press know that this is happening. Okay, this is the mistake. And Kivu, he just arrived, didn't even have time to do anything meaningful in a tactical way for Inter, and he's already into this big mess. And here Lautaro Martinez made a huge disservice to Kivu because Kivu didn't know what to do, didn't know what to say. He just arrived and he doesn't have that authority that we spoke before. This is why I wanted Conte in AC Milan the past year. Not because Conte is a super top coach, even if he is a top coach, okay? But this is not the point. For me, we needed a coach that could control the locker room. And this is why I think Allegri is a good choice. Because if you get another coach with no control that the players do not respect, and this is the players' fault because the players should always respect the coach no matter what, okay? This should be how it is. But that kind of power, if you don't have that kind of power, the players, they're young people. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about anything. So they will go against the coach. And stuff like in AC Milan happened during the season can happen to Inter, especially after this mess of a season that was for them. Because think about it, they lost Serie A with a narrow margin to Napoli. They lost Coppa Italia to us, and we didn't win Coppa Italia, but we sent them out of Coppa Italia. They lost a Supercoppa Italiana to us, to AC Milan. And then the final blow, Champions League, PSG, a match like that is embarrassing for the supporters to watch. It truly is. And then you go on into this FIFA World Summer Cup, whatever this is. They don't take it seriously. They don't even try to use the young players, because if this competition is not that important apart for the money, then why don't you just use young players to see how it goes? Because even today, okay, I watched the Fluminense one. Aslani in the middle of the pitch is unwatchable. Aslani as a playmaker, it's unwatchable. And a lot of players, especially the old ones, clearly want to get the fuck out. The problem is now, who wants to do that? Is it only Çalhanoğlu? Is also Thuram? What about Thuram? Thuram wants to stay. That's why he got those new fancy hair. And when he got those hair, it's less intimidating and less strong on the pitch. By the way, that's what I noticed. Is the hair. It's like when Morata went bald, things got worse for Morata. But sorry, this. So, what is going to happen now to Inter? Because this could be the premises for an incredibly bad season for Inter, because if it starts like this and they cannot solve these kind of problems in this transfer market, they can't sell who they want to sell, or they can't buy the players they need to buy, because I remind you that Inter's owner is a fund, and the fund, I have experience in this because I see Milan, okay? I have experience in this. I know how the funds work. They do not want to spend a lot of money. They will want to save money where they can. Kivu is a part of why they did that. They didn't want to invest a lot of millions into an established coach, and you get Kivu. He might be a crack. I'm not saying it's not, but if you think about it, logically speaking, it's a higher percentage that is not going to be a crack, especially if the locker room of Inter is in such a mess that it looks like it is, right? It is incredibly hard for a new coach to manage something like this, and that's why Marotta had to intervene, because Kivu could say nothing. He didn't know what to say. It was an embarrassing moment, okay? After this, because let's be serious. Inter's run into this FIFA summer thing was horrible. Was very bad, and getting kicked out from Fluminense is certainly not something you can be proud of. And also Lautaro Martinez coming out with these, with these statements after a shitty match that he played, because Lautaro Martinez didn't play a good match, is not healthy and good for Inter. And I bet that Inter supporters right now are pissed. If you're an Inter supporter right now, I think you should be pissed. If I were an Inter supporter, I would be pissed, because after a season, end of season like this, man, stuff like this brings you to insanity. Insane. That's insane. My season with my AC Milan was insane for me, but at least, it ended early. Like after the first 5 matches, you knew, oh, well, that's what AC Milan could do. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'll just watch and hope for the best, But Inter went to possibly win at least the Scudetto to winning nothing at all. And to this problem with the locker room right now, it is a disaster, in my opinion. Maybe you're gonna fix everything. Who knows? But like internally, Inter looks like a mess. And now the media is gonna make this bigger, and names maybe will start to pop out. It's not the kind of environment that Kivu would like to work, because he would like to work in a serious environment, respected by everybody. So we will see what happens with Inter, which brings me to the point that AC Milan must absolutely try to go for the Scudetto, at least. Go for the Scudetto this year. This year, I want to fight for the Scudetto. If you don't win it, if Napoli wins it, Napoli was better. But we have the chance to fight for the Scudetto. And I am glad of the choice of Allegri, because we need somebody that can command some respect right now. And Allegri, like his playstyle or not, seems to be the coach for that. And I think this is why the choice was made, even if it was between Sarri and Allegri. But those are coaches that can command respect. If we didn't get Allegri early, and this is something that I am glad that the management did, finally, one thing they did after destroying AC Milan, is to get Allegri that fast. That was crucial, because Allegri would have gone to Inter. I am pretty sure about that. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Things in AC Milan for now are pretty calm, so we'll see the market, how it goes. And Forza Milan, and goodbye, good sir, good night, hello, ciao ciao.